Hello, I'm Colleen Pearl, the Cool Crone, and welcome back to my channel. I want to take a moment to say thank you for all of your comments on the past videos, and for all my new subscribers, welcome and thank you so much. I'm glad you could join us. In today's video, we will be looking at the major astrological events for 2021 as they relate to the sign Leo. You should watch the video for your rising sign and your sun sign, as both will be very informative. 2021 has a lot happening astrologically, so let's get to it. Hello, Leo. The year 2021 for you starts out talking about your relationships. There are a lot of planets in Aquarius in your 7th house, which is relationships, partners, open enemies, the way you deal with relationships. And also your 6th house for work, Capricorn, which is going to have Pluto and Venus sitting there. Now, it's great to have Pluto and Venus together anywhere. Venus really softens Pluto, but Pluto has been sitting around in your 6th house for quite some time. So it has been digging into you and telling you that you have to change, you have to transform, that you probably need to get a different job, or you need to change the way you're doing the job, or you need to improve things. Pluto is relentless in the way that it asks you to transform. But what it does when Pluto's in that 6th house is it digs up the old ways that you do things, or things that may not serve you anymore, and it plows them up to the surface so that you can look at them and so that you can change them. So there is a purpose for all the planets going through the various houses in our chart, and Pluto's purpose is a tough one, but it's a good one for us to go through. Now you've got Venus there with Pluto for the first month or so, or actually Venus moves pretty quickly, so it's probably only first few weeks of January, but it's a little reprieve for you because it's telling you, job well done. Also, having Venus in your 6th house may mean that you get a little bonus or some type of reward on your job, so that makes you feel good and kind of lifts the energy of all of that Pluto stuff that's been going on for so long. Now let's talk about your 7th house. So January 1st, New Year's Day, you've got Saturn, Jupiter, Sun, Pallas Athena, which is an asteroid, and Mercury, all in your 7th house. So a lot of activity there, a lot of focus on relationships, and you'll see that through most of 2021, there are intense focuses on this house that you have to deal with. So you just have to deal with it. The sun in your 7th house means that things are going well with your relationship there. Saturn and Jupiter there, though, means that things are expanding, but also contracting, because Saturn contracts and Jupiter expands. So how do you deal with that? Well, Saturn can also be the clarifier. It can also be crystallization. So if you're going through therapy with your partner, or if you're trying to mold things, change things, restructure the way your finances work, restructure who handles money, who works with money. Perhaps your incomes are changing or varying the way they used to come in. Things about your relationship really are going to be focused on in 2021. There's no getting around it. And Saturn always forces you to manage things, to analyze things, to really look at them, pull them apart, see what works, see what doesn't work, and then put it back together again. Jupiter just explodes things. It's lucky, it's a boon, but it also just expands. And so whatever is going on with the 7th house, Jupiter's going to blow it up. Not blow it up like ruin it, blow it up like make it bigger. It's going to expand it. It's going to bring more to the table of whatever there is. Having Mercury there just means that you do have a really good opportunity right now to be discussing these things. And Mercury has been there probably since December. So you've probably already been talking about these things, and that's a really, really good thing. And mid-month in January, you've got Mars conjunct Uranus. Now, Uranus is going to be dancing around with Mars and Saturn all year. And this is just the first one. This is a conjunction. And so this is kind of a burst of energy. Now, Uranus is just coming off a retrograde. On January 14th, it goes direct for the first time in a long time. And this can be kind of troublesome. Mars conjunct Uranus is bad enough, but because Uranus has just gotten direct, something's going to happen. There's going to be an event. And now in your chart, if you've got Mars and Uranus at a degree, I mean, if you've got any planets at the same degree that Mars and Uranus are going to be at on the 16th, then you're really going to feel this. If they're not at that point, you know, you may not feel it as much, but definitely you're going to feel the impact on your 10th house. So this is going to impact your career. This means that things in your career are going to literally blow up, either for good or for bad. If you've been working towards things in a way that jives with your employer, or if you own a business, jives with whatever industry that you're in a good, positive way, then things will blow up in a good way. If you've been cheating or you know, shortchanging people or taking advantage of people, then things may blow up in a bad way. So you'll find out in mid-January how well you've done. On the 14th of January, we have a moon in we have a moon in Aquarius, and that's going to highlight that seventh house stuff that I was talking about. So you'll be particularly sensitive around the 14th of January. And that's the same day that Uranus goes direct. So look on that date, because I know something's going to happen with Uranus on that day. Something is definitely going to blow up. All right. Now let's go to the January 30th. January 30th is when Mercury goes retrograde for the first time in the year. And it's going retrograde in the air signs all year. And the first time it goes retrograde is in Aquarius. This is also your 7th house, Leo. So you're going to have some stumbles and bumbles, and things are going to be miscommunicated. And Aquarius in the 7th house means that you've already got an unusual relationship. You've already got a relationship where you guys are used to sort of communicating maybe telepathically, because it's unusual. It's, you know, things are kind of quirky Aquarius, you know, your relationship. But with Mercury retrograde there, you do have to watch out for things like, you know, forgetting your keys and, you know, having your computer blow up, or, you know, leaving the coffee pot all day. Things like that are going to happen. On February 11th, is that the next thing? Yeah, February 11th, we're going to have a new moon in Aquarius, and that's also going to hit your 7th house. But in February, when it hits it, that's a new beginning, because new moons are always new beginnings. That means that something comes to a close and this new cycle starts up. So look for February 11th to be a time. Use that energy. If you need something new to happen, make it happen on February 11th. That's the way to use astrology. On the 17th, we have a square between Saturn and Uranus. That's another tough one. Now with Saturn and Uranus, we're looking at your career versus your relationship. So Saturn is in the house for your relationship. Uranus is in the house for your career. So some big exciting thing in your career may be clashing in some way with what's going on in your relationship. Your relationship wants things to be a little more controlled, a little more structured, and like tight. And Uranus is not that. Uranus is about things popping out, things being erratic, things being uneven and unconventional. So this could be a tension time for your relationship, and it's tension between what you have to do for your job or an opportunity from your job, because Uranus very often is inspiration or opportunity, and your relationship, which is where Saturn is sitting right these days. Then we've got on the 27th, we have a trine between Mars and Pluto, which is also going from your 10th house where Mars is back to your 6th house where Pluto is. So that's the opportunity, maybe not to smooth things over in your relationship, but that's the opportunity to smooth out the edges of what this inspiration, what this brilliant brainstorm was from earlier on with Saturn square Uranus on the 17th. So about 10 days in between those two aspects. And that's when I think things are going to be somewhat worked out. Now, Mars trining Pluto is a very powerful aspect. So don't be surprised if that's the time where, you decide that you're going to either, I don't think that you would change jobs. I think you would change the job. I think that's what that's about, because you are holding the energy of Pluto. And your job with Mars energy is not as powerful as Pluto energy. It's a lot of power. And you're going to have the impulse, the energy, the compulsion to use that Pluto energy. So use it for good, of course, but use it for your benefit, because that's why the universe is giving this to you. And this, like I said, you could change the job rather than you changing jobs. A little bit different. Okay. Now let's move on to actually February. And we talked about the Saturn-Uranus square already. And we talked about Mercury. So Mercury has been retrograde since January 30th. And on the 20th of February, it goes direct. So yay, hooray, Mercury is going to go direct in Aquarius. And we're all going to feel a lot better for it, because Mercury retrograde sometimes can be a mess. All right, March. So in March, we start out with a beautiful conjunction of Sun and Neptune. So this is where dreams are made, folks. This is where you really, if you are a creative type, a spiritual type, a compassionate type, a person who likes to serve others or help others, this is your day. This is your beautiful time. And the influence of this may last about 4 or 5 days. So Sun is going to be in Pisces, and Neptune is in Pisces and has been in Pisces for a while. And this is going to be in your 8th house. So this is going to be the realm of shared resources, big money in your life, like mortgages and 401ks and taxes and insurance and things like that. Also the occult, things that are hidden, sex, death, transformation, that's all the 8th house. And this is where you're going to have the Sun and Neptune. So you may be dreaming up and imagining ways to just reorder your whole relationship, really, with money, with big money. You may be making decisions about what kind of a transformation you want to affect during this cycle of the Sun going through your 8th house. And it's only going to be there for about a month. So you got to make hay while the sun shines. Sun conjunct Neptune in your 8th house. What is that going to mean to you? So you're going to have insight. You're going to have inspiration of a different kind, not the searing, blinding light of a Uranian inspiration. You're going to have the gentle, cool, psychic, comes up in a dream or comes up to your subconscious, top of your subconscious in a meditation kind of inspiration. So very, 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 very calming thing. And then on the 13th, Venus joins Neptune as well. So you have a lot of feminine energy with this, a lot of intuition, a lot of caring, a lot of healing, a lot of making things work in a very intuitive, very creative, very fantastical way. Anything having to do with fantasy would be good, but we are talking about shared resources, and we're talking about things that cannot be dreamed up. You know, your 401k can't be dreamed into being. It has to be contributed to. So, you know, it's an interesting combo of things happening there. Now, if your investments, which is the 8th house, have to do with cinematography, which is a Neptunian industry, the oil industry, and I would not mean just fossil fuels, but maybe, you know, things that they're doing, water, cleaning up water. That's a better way to use the Neptunian energy. Cleaning up water, using water, refiltering water, recycling in general. These are great ways to use this energy and to focus this stuff. So if you're looking at where to put your investments, you know, look at industries that deal with that kind of stuff, because that will be very good for you. And I'm not trying to give investment advice to anybody. I'm just saying how your horoscope is going for the year 2021, in my opinion. Entertainment purposes only. Venus conjunct Chiron. This is a beautiful thing. So everybody has Chiron in their chart. Chiron is the place in your chart where you have a wound or a trauma from probably your childhood, maybe late teens, early 20s. As we grow, very many times the trauma causes an emotional reaction that can hold us back. It's something that we're in denial of, or that we can't remember, or that it causes us to act in a certain way or to avoid certain situations and relationships. And that does not serve us. as we go on in our adult lives. And so it's better, in the opinion of many people, it's better to try to heal from that trauma so that it no longer holds you back. That's the Chiron energy in your chart. As you learn to heal that Chiron wound, it gives you the tools to be able to help others heal. And this is the beautiful thing. So wherever Chiron is in your chart is also the place where you can heal others. So that Chiron is getting a boost from Venus on March 28th. So that's a really good time for you to look into what it is that could be holding you back. Or if you know there was a traumatic event in your life and you just want to deal with that, then that's a great time to start therapy or read a book about that kind of trauma, to begin to open the door to the healing for that trauma, and thus begin to open the door to you healing others. Beautiful thing, that Venus conjunct Chiron. Really beautiful. Okay, May 14th, Jupiter enters Pisces. Jupiter in Pisces is a really, really glorious energy. It's the father the father energy, but in a very compassionate, caring mode. So as Jupiter goes into Pisces, we begin to relax and we begin to feel cared for. We begin to trust that things are going to be okay. It takes us 5 months as a country to begin to feel this. But on the 26th of May, we have the first eclipse of the year. And that eclipse is in Sagittarius at 5 degrees 26 minutes. And for you, Leo, that's going to be in your 5th house. So the 5th house is where you try to have fun. So maybe on that day, you try to have a little fun. Maybe, Leo, you try to, maybe by then we can go outside and throw a ball around with our kids, or take a walk without wearing, 4,000 masks. Maybe we're still wearing masks, but it's a little less restrictive as far as going out. So have some fun on that day. And then on the 29th of May, Mercury goes direct. And Mercury's been in Gemini all this time, which is your 11th house. So that may be really putting a crimp in your social life as Mercury was retrograde, because it's the 11th house has to do with groups that you're a part of, hopes, dreams, wishes, things that you're trying to do to make the world a better place or to give back. And Venus and Mercury are there right now. And with Mercury being retrograde and in there, it might be difficult for you to talk or to get your point across, or to really to relax and enjoy that group. So it'll be nice that Mercury goes direct, and then things will kind of go back to normal for you in relationship to that group. Then in June, we have a solar eclipse on the 10th at 19 degrees 47 minutes Gemini. And that is your 11th house again. So you notice that the eclipses go in opposite signs. So you have Gemini and then Sagittarius. And last year we had Cancer and Capricorn a lot. Now we're on Gemini Sagittarius axis. And so wherever those two signs fall in your chart, that's where you're going to have a great deal of emphasis as the eclipses hit those points in your chart. Mercury is still retrograde in Gemini since May 29th, but in June it's finally going to go direct on the 22nd of the month. Now, during the month of June, again, we have a Uranus event, and this is on June 14th. We have Saturn squaring Uranus. So Saturn is going to be in your Saturn's going to be in your 7th house, and it's going to square Uranus in your 10th house. So this is tough. This is again the relationship versus the career. So I talked about that a little earlier in the video. You should go back and listen to that again. It's going to be the same deal because these planets have not moved much. They are in almost identical positions at this point. And as far as your chart goes, they are in identical positions. So everything that we talked about before about the square between Uranus and Saturn, that's going to go for this as well. On the 21st, Jupiter turns retrograde. So it's been in Pisces for a little bit. It's been in Pisces for like a minute. And now it's retrograding back, and it's going to go right back into Aquarius. So again, we're going to get that feeling of the government can take care of us, and we can trust that. So that's not bad, but really we want Jupiter going forward because we want all those wonderful gifts and boons to come to us directly. Don't you? I do. July 1st, we have Mars opposition Saturn. This is not usually a fun aspect, and especially for you because Mars is in Leo. It's going to be in your first house, Leo, and it's really going to be stirring things up. Fortunately, Venus is very close. How close is it? Yeah, not close enough to really stop the whole opposition effect, but it's close. And the opposition between Mars and Saturn is a huge tension in your life. It's going to affect your relationship a great deal. It may cause arguments. It may cause a separation of some kind. One of you may need to leave the house. I'm not saying separation like you separate in preparation for divorce. I'm just saying that physically you may need to separate because it may get too heated. It may get very, very heated. When the signs Leo and Aquarius are involved, things can get very heated. And Leo, you know this. I'm not telling you anything new. So that's the big event in July. And fortunately, it doesn't stay in effect very long, maybe a day or two, and then it'll move on. But because Mars is moving so fast this year, it's just zipping through things. But that's pretty much all that's happening in July that's major, and nothing else major. Because a lot of the things happening major this year are tough or difficult aspects. So it's really nice that between July 1st and September 27th, there's no real big icky aspects. Yay! So that brings us up towards the end of September. And this is the day that Mercury goes retrograde in Libra, one of my favorite signs. Anyway, Libra, retrograde Mercury is going to cause you, Leo, to have, unfortunately, it's going to fall in your third house, and that's going to cause all sorts of electronic things at your house to go wrong. So like the toaster's going to go on the fritz. Make sure your computer is backed up because your computer's going to crash. You can be sure of that. The coffee pot's going to get left on. You're going to forget your keys. You're going to forget where you're driving to work. You're just going to be a little befuddled because it's that third house that deals with everyday transportation, everyday money, everyday people that you see, your neighbors, your siblings, your cousins, your neighborhood, people at work that are really, really friendly with you. Not the sixth house people at work, but people like that you drive through the Dunkin' Donuts and you get your coffee and you know her first name. That's a third house person. Okay. So all of that stuff is going to be a little bit messed up with this Mercury retrograde. So that's not really fun, but it is what's going on. And it stays retrograde until October 18th. Now the day before, on October 17th, Jupiter also goes direct. So we've got Jupiter and Pisces, Jupiter and Mercury finally going direct. Mercury will continue on into Scorpio, and Jupiter will continue on back into Pisces where we love it. That's about it for that one. And then we come up to the big kahuna of our Uranus events for the year, November 15th, when Mars in Scorpio opposes Uranus in Taurus. And it's going to have to do with your 4th to your 10th house. The 4th house has to do with real estate, your home, your domestic situation, all the people that you live with, and the general tone of your home and what it's about. Your career has to do with your career, your legacy, what means the most to you that you want to make your mark on the world doing. And with Uranus up there, well, you know, Leo, that's been crazy for you for quite a while, because Uranus has been in Leo for quite a while. Uranus has been in Taurus, for quite a while. You're Leo. I'm not. Okay. And so you know that there has been erratic things going on with your career. Either the job changes, you know, week to week or month to month or year to year, or your salary changes, or you actually change jobs, or you're a contract person and you get a whole bunch of contracts and then there's nothing, and a whole bunch of contracts and then nothing. So there's some sort of erratic behavior going on as it regards your career. And that's just Uranus in your career sector. But then it's opposing Mars, which means that there's going to be tension, fighting, tempers flaring concerning the relationship, your home and your career. So there could be a lot of stress and tension there, and I'm so sorry for that. But that's what this is all leading up to all year. Even Saturn, all of these stressors to Uranus is really leading up to this November 15th thing. So also then a few days later, we're going to have a lunar eclipse on the 19th of November in Taurus. So this is a different sign. This is not our Gemini Sagittarius axis. This is going into Taurus. So this is a new energy. And this energy is going to affect your career also. So that could be good. It could be bad. I don't know. It depends on if you have planets at that sensitive degree. But the eclipse is happening on the 19th at 27 degrees Taurus, 14 minutes. So wherever that is in your chart, that's where the big change is going to come, because eclipses all herald changes. Then a few weeks later, we always have this. A few weeks after the lunar eclipse, we have the solar eclipse. And this one is happening on December 4th at 12 degrees Sagittarius. And that's going to happen in your fifth house. Your fifth house is the house for having fun, the house for expressing yourself in fun. And it governs dealings with children. It deals with sports, with games of chance, with gambling, with the stock market, with love affairs, with flings. Not real relationships, but just flings. So, that's what the eclipse is gunning for you. All right. And the final chart that we're looking at today is the Christmas Eve chart for December 2021. And this chart starts out with a bang because we have Saturn in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. So again, we have this Uranus theme going on where things are going to be very, very tense. Part of the energy is wanting to put things in a box, and part of the energy is wanting things to just explode out of the box and go all over the place. So again, we have your 10th house playing off of your 7th house, and that's going to be tough for you. So, strains and stresses when it comes to the career and your relationship all through 2021, just strains and stresses. And again, it doesn't mean that the relationship itself is going anywhere, but there's a lot of strains being put on the relationship via Saturn and Uranus all year through 2021. And again, go back and listen to what I said earlier about that squaring between Saturn and Uranus, because they really haven't moved. For some reason, they haven't moved. I don't know why. Now, on almost the last day of the year, on December 30th, we have Jupiter going into Pisces, that beautiful Pisces energy that we got a little taste of earlier in the year. And now we're going to have Jupiter there to stay. That's loving. It's literally peace and love and creativity and fantasy and beautiful things and romantical things. And that Jupiter Pisces energy is just a beautiful way to send us off into 2022. That's happening in your 8th house. So if you are a student of magic or studying the metaphysical, every time Jupiter in Pisces touches that, every time Jupiter goes into Pisces, it touches that part of your chart that deals with the occult and real magic and things like that. So that would be a good time, if you're studying those things, to really dig in and really do some in-depth work. So that's the 2021 forecast for you, Leo. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing it. I'm glad you listened all the way to the end. Please give me some comments down below. Let me know how this hit you. I hope you will come back and re-listen to this during the year, during 2021, and comment then too, and let me know how these things are playing out in your chart. How did those Saturn squares to Uranus affect you? Let me know, because you won't know until things happen. If you are interested in getting a reading with me personally, my information is going to be right down here below, and you can go to my website and schedule a reading, or you can email me. Either way, we'll get you hooked up with a reading as soon as we can. And I'm so happy that all of you are subscribing and watching the videos. Please like it. Please hit the notification bell so that you get all of the uploads. And happy 2021. Thanks, Leo.